What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Alarm Fantasy Football. Look, I'm wearing the shirt that was in the intro there. See, I have like a very limited wardrobe. It just kind of rotates like good 4 or 5 shirts, and that's
Should I go get my tan pea coat from the intro?
You should. There you go. With like your little ascot scarf that you were rocking there too.
I just want to know where the arms.
That is not an ascot. Okay, it's a scarf. That's where I draw the line.
I just want to know where the arms I was wearing in the intro went.
I don't know. Should we roll back that intro? I wasn't even looking at your arms.
The arms were stacked, and now I'm like skinny mini over here.
You do kind of disappear for a second. It is, the intro gets me fired off. I gotta say.
That's what what happens when you're dealing with preseason football, and now you're in the middle of the grind. I can't remember the last. I got the wife bringing me smoothies in this wonderful fantasy alarm pint glass here.
Oh,
look at that old school.
That's a throwback, dude. That's nice.
So look at us being healthy. Howard has a smoothie. I've got some kombucha.
Right. I mean, this is my meal. I'm not gonna eat anything until dinner. Like this is
maybe not. Well, I guess that's a diet. I'm drinking out of the mug of champions here.
Oh, see, that must taste really bitter right there. Ew.
Right now it does. It used to taste a lot better.
I have so many anti-Patriots things I really want to say right now, but I'm just not going to.
Well, I guess you can though, because it's not fun. It's not fun or funny to make fun of the Rodgers injury. So you can.
Well,
then
say whatever you just shut up.
I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I wish it was more fun, but it's not funny.
Don't say. Welcome in, everybody. Listen, Britt, Flynn, Andrew Cooper, me, Howard Bender, rocking it for the next 60 minutes here. Well, maybe about 54 at this point right now. Helping you guys out. By all means, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that. Throw your chat questions in there. I've already see a couple of them coming through. We'll help you with lineup stuff. We'll talk a little waiver wire action. Well, I mean, the aftermath of waivers is really what it kind of comes down to. Did you get your guys? Did you not get your guys? We're also going to be talking about certain things that we're going to shake off some week 1 disappointments. Really lame crap happened in week 1 for us, and we're going to try and work our way out of it. Like we all know, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, these guys are going to ball moving forward, but we're talking about some other stuff that really went down that we're hoping to expect to see here in week 2. So we got lots of stuff here. Shout out to Ernie Acosta, our producer. Shout out to our sponsors here at Underdog Fantasy. We got you guys with a little pick'em contest picks coming up a little bit later on in the show. So again, smash that like and subscribe button. Post your comments in chat. Hi, Chris Sellers, you beautiful person yourself as well. And Toronto Dave's here. Fatty McFats, the whole crew's here. Oh, look, Mile High Luke from the Botanical Extraction is joining us here as well. We'll get to all those questions and stuff as we cruise through. How'd waivers go for you guys? I'll tell you flat out, I'm very light on waivers. I barely put in a claim or two. How about you guys? We'll start with, let's see if I can get the direction right. Britt.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I didn't have to put in a ton of waivers. Unfortunately, in the Pros with Joe's league, we did lose Aaron Rodgers. So we had to go out there and find a replacement quarterback. And that league is a 14-team league. So waivers were pretty thin. Luckily, Mac Jones was out there. We got him for $11 out of our $100 fab, which I feel pretty good about. We also got, I believe, well, I can't even remember, Hunter Henry to pair it with that because we were a little light on tight end. We actually got outbid by $1 on Hunter Henry, but the person putting in that bid did not choose a player to drop. It seems like it was a contingency bid. So we squeaked it out and still brought home Hunter Henry. We were also targeting Puka Nacua. He went for $46 out of that $100 fab. So it was way too rich for me. So I'm kind of glad that we did not bid that much for Puka.
I actually love that. That's like my favorite thing, where there's a guy I'm not quite sure on, and then somebody spends a ton of money. I'm like, good. Nice. I was never going to get him anyway, and now I don't have to think about it. For
Yeah.
me, I did have a league where I had J.K. Dobbins. So in that league, I just added I actually added Joshua Kelly because I needed somebody that could potentially start for me this week. And then I didn't do much like you guys. I did sneak Luke Musgrave on a couple little yin yang action. I traded out some guys for some Luke Musgrave, but that's about it for me. What about you, Howard? Did you do any major moves?
I didn't do any major moves. If you want, like in the Sports Illustrated Superflex League, I did get Zach Wilson. Thank you so much there, Zach. I mean, there were no quarterbacks left at all. Zach was the only guy. I don't even know. I didn't even put that big of a bid on him. I can't remember exactly what I spent, but it really, I want to say maybe it was in like the 11 or the, no. Actually, no, I probably put like 20, 21 on it just because it was super flex. And I know that somebody was going to try and, block me on that front. Cause when you do these industry leagues, people get super spiteful over the years. Like you're competing against them over and over again. You know who they like. I know who, they know who you like. And it just gets really kind of ugly there. So in order to avoid, that sneaky ad by somebody else just trying to screw me, I threw a $21 bid on Zach Wilson. It's probably going to be about $19 more than I should have.
Yeah, it's a super flex. It's fine.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
That's not fine. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But all right. I'll be okay. I will be okay. All right. So you guys, relatively successful waiver wire. Britt lucked out with one incident there. And yeah, like I said, I played it pretty light. I played it so light that with the exception of that Zach Wilson pickup, because Yahoo sends me those notifications, I didn't even check any of my other teams to see if I got the guy or not, because it really wasn't a make it or break it for me. Now, Britt, you brought up the question of whether or not anybody's seen any rage drops. Again, I haven't gone through to see any of that yet, but how about you? Anybody rage dropped from your team, from somebody's roster?
Yeah, I've already seen Daniel Jones get dropped, and I've seen Antonio Gibson get dropped, which to me just kind of seems like just a little crazy. Daniel Jones, of course, had a bad game, but it was in a bunch of rain against a very good defense, and he's going to rebound. He's got the Cardinals this week, and you dropped him off your roster? Like, what? Why? Don't overreact to this. With Antonio Gibson, I kind of feel the same. I felt very underwhelmed by his performance in week 1. But again, it was against the Cardinals. The game script dictated that Brian Robinson would just kind of run it down their throats. With Antonio Gibson as more of the pass catching back, I do think that he still has a role in this offense. And I'm not completely out on him yet, though there is a little bit of caution tape around him.
There's one that made me chuckle. I had a guy who I think he must have put waiver claims in that he didn't get. And then after waivers ran, he just dropped Taysom Hill to waivers and didn't pick anyone up. So now he just has a straight empty bench spot. He was just like, I'm done with Taysom Hill. He just looked at it and said, I'd rather have literally no one in that spot. So that one made me chuckle.
Should have been done with Taysom Hill before you even drafted him.
Shouldn't have even drafted him.
Exactly. Do we want to hit on some quick questions? And we got some questions coming in. You want to hit on a couple real quick, guys?
Yeah, I just wanted to finish the waiver conversation here. But yes, Coop, if you'd like to get to some questions, whose question do you want to answer?
We got Smokey threw one in when he first came in. He said, trade London, Dotson, and Pirine for Deebo Samuel. He's got Bijan and does not want London. He's on the bench with the other two. So we're talking just kind of clearing out London, Dotson, and Pirine for Deebo.
I think that's too much.
Yeah.
That's
especially because this is my thought process on these in a redraft league is who is that guy? When that guy does that trade, he has to drop 2 people to the bench. That guy doesn't have at least one other guy on his bench that you could sneak in there. And if he's going to drop him anyway, right? Just to give you a little something, So I'd revise it.
I'd say, you know what? London and Pirine for Deebo. Offer that. Make it a 2-for-1. If you want to get rid of London, then go ahead. But to add in Dots in there, I think is a little ridiculous. Dots is going to be a great bye-week filler, I think, for a lot of people moving forward.
For sure.
So yeah, so I mean I'm fine. Just revise that, Smokey. You'll be okay. Let's see. What else do we have here, Coop? Would
Hal-
you rock Kincaid as your only tight end from Hal?
I mean, I like to live dangerously. And he played 47 snaps at wide receiver, only 8 in line. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So if there's someone else that you really want, like Howard said, there's a couple things that Howard has said through the years that have always stuck with me. One, don't leave a spot empty. Don't not start a kicker or don't start a defense. Another one is don't drop guys just to drop them. So whoever your other tight end is, if there's someone you really want to add, then make the move. But don't drop the guy just to drop him, just to say, oh, I got this guy now, so I can just drop this guy for whatever. Make moves with intention. So if you got somebody you want to add, go for it. But don't just drop your other tight end just because.
Okay.
Very true.
Here we go. Chargy 65. I've had Dobbins and picked up Gus. So now I got Gus, Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Warren on my bench. Who should I start as my RB2? Well, I got to tell you, you really messed up your draft. If you have to start one of these, Dobbins or not.
Mhm.
Like if that's what you have to start for your RB2, you better rethink that draft strategy next year, my friend, because that's terrible.
You know that your RB2 doesn't have to be an RB2 on his own NFL team, right? Like you're allowed to start.
I mean, I
man.
guess I would probably start Gus. I mean, it's Baltimore's against where are they playing? Cincinnati?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Cincinnati? And Cincinnati's, run defense got a little banged up by Nick Chubb. So, I mean, I might as well just say, Gus for that. I think
Gus.
Yeah, that's for me. I don't know. What do you guys think about Warren getting that snap share? Was that just a matter of the fact that the Steelers were just getting their asses handed to them?
I think so.
I think that's a part of it. And the one thing that was encouraging is whenever it was meaningful 2-minute drill snaps, Najee Harris got all those. So Jalen Warren did play some, but it was mostly the way you'd expect, to spell Najee or garbage time. So I think Najee's still fine.
And Najee, everybody talks about his inefficiency metrics, but he got 6 carries, but he still averaged over 5 yards per carry on those carries that he did get, which is very encouraging for somebody who's been just completely thrown under the bus for his lack of efficiency.
The metrics guys will come out and see a guy run a 1-yard touchdown and he'll say, "Oh my God, only 1 yard a carry."
Yep.
Like, give me a break. We gotta take a little more context in than just yards per carry.
Always have to find some context. This collar's really bugging me. Oh, look, that's a baseball shirt. Matty Olson.
Sneaking baseball in.
Give it out to him. Is Melvin Gordon worth a stash? Fatty McFats wants to know. What do we think?
How many bench spots? Gotta have a lot.
Yeah, it has to be a very deep league with a lot of bench spots because I don't think, for one, I don't trust anybody in this Ravens backfield. I know if you need, like, you're desperate and need somebody, then Gus Edwards is fine. But I think it's just going to rotate to a full-on committee. And once they finally get into that air raid rhythm of things, I don't see a lot of rushing attempts for them either.
Yeah. An important thing to note here is that Melvin Gordon didn't make the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they had the tryout portion of this and he didn't make the team. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill did. So the fact that he's getting called up now, they weren't keeping him as some secret practice squad weapon, right? So the secret weapon that they were going to just pull out and have be the RB1. So if it's crazy deep league, then yes, but otherwise, the expectations can't be too high.
Yeah. Why is Sellers saying that he blew all his fab?
Because he did blow all his fab.
Are you serious? In like one league or like all leagues?
In one league, and I am so angry with him because we were talking about this last night when he was putting in waivers. He was like, let's talk about waivers. Let's talk about who we're picking up in the leagues that we're in together and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, did you read my article? Like, don't blow your fab. In one league, he blew 75% of his fab. He put $30 on Puka. I think he put $25 on somebody else, and then $20 on Kieran Williams. Definitely overpaid for all of that. Sellers was just like making it rain in the fab club. I'm upset with him because He's supposed to listen to me as a husband and as an analyst, and he did neither. And
I love that for Sellers though. He's always willing to get aggressive, dude. And honestly, hey, some of his plays don't work, some of them do, but I love having him around for that reason, dude. Hey,
well, this is the first year. It was Kenneth Gainwell, I think. The second one, it was Kenneth Gainwell, and I'm like, you've been on Kenneth Gainwell all season long. Why did you not draft him? With everything in the chat always being Gainwell, 10 exclamation marks and all caps. Why didn't you draft him? He's getting roasted in the group chat about it. This is the first year that we've actually implemented Fab in this league because Sellers and I pushed for it so hard. And he just got very excited, I think.
I love it. I love it. It's okay to get excited about fantasy football. Fantasy football is awesome.
Sure, of course, but you have to. I mean, yeah, you got to be sensible. I'll tell you what, though, it's not like you are not alone in that, Britt. My wife doesn't listen to a word I say when it comes to, like, you know, waiver claims, pickups, stuff like that. She'll ask me like 3 questions right before a draft, and then as soon as I go to answer them, she's like, "Oh, forget it. I'll just look at my own." Right? And she, like, you know, she's like making stuff like that. Brandon Marianne Lee's husband never like listened to her and continuously lost leagues. I believe Jen Piacenti's boyfriend, now fiance, actually, same thing over there. I believe it. I mean, I think it's like it's a steady progression back and forth. If you have a spouse who also plays fantasy, they will never listen to a word you say, because who are you? You're just the idiot I married. There's no way you know more fantasy football than me. And it doesn't matter. Husbands, wives, partners, everything like that. It's just that's just the way it goes.
I don't even want to get into the way my wife plays, because she sets her lineups and does her DFS based on her criteria are cool hair, kind faces, nose rings move you way up in the rankings. If there's a picture of a player in a crop top shirt at any point, Zeke Elliott checks every box with the nose ring and the crop tops. You know what I mean? Like David Njoku, right? Like those guys get moved way up. Kind eyes, right? So yeah, and it works in DFS. I will say there have been some teams she's had with the crazy hair and nose rings of Alvin Kamara and Zeke Elliott in the past have hit some big money. But
see, Deb used to be like that with like fantasy baseball when she first started playing. It was like, who's best looking, right? Who has the coolest name? So I mean, you know, it was like Pokey Reese and Gookie Dawkins. Like they were always on her team. Looks wise, I'm competing with like Steve Finley and Andy Pettit,
JD Martinez.
Right? In football, I tell you what. In she's in a couple of different leagues, but she just didn't have anybody to drop. Like, you know, she just had like really good late round picks, and it was like, you know, one of those things. Do I drop Kadarius Toney in order to go after Puka Nacua? It hurt her soul to not go after Puka Nacua or Tutu Atwell. It hurt her soul. I think she went to sleep kind of sobbing a little bit, having not put a bid in on them.
That's funny, man. The names too. Puka Nacua. I mean, it is fun to say. No question.
Of course, it's fun to say.
And Sellers, this is what you get for not talking to me last night about waivers. I did. You just didn't listen.
You know, there you go. It's that selective husband hearing, huh? All of a sudden. Oh, yeah, man. Well, listen, you get what you get. Sellers enjoy mediocrity, you know, 6th to 8th place. There's, you know, no harm in that. You're like on the bubble of making the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's move on from.
We got a trade here. James Cook and Mostert for Jordan Addison. A 3 wide receiver league.
Where are you?
Josh Allen.
Are you scrolled all the way down to the bottom?
Sports Spotlight. We did Chargie's question last.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they've been rolling in.
Yeah. Right. If this is Dynasty, maybe. Otherwise,
Get Cook and Mostert for Addison.
Addison scored the touchdown. The thing with Addison is I need to see him flop with KJ Osborne. I think it will happen, but Osborne played like 58 snaps. Addison played like 36. Soon enough that will flip, but for now it's a little dicey. James Cook looked awesome, did he not?
Your RB depth with Aaron Jones potentially not playing, Cam Akers with like a 1.3 yards per carry, depending on who is on your bench, I'm very concerned about your running back depth. So I would not trade those 2 guys away.
Right. I feel better about your wide receiver Zay Flowers looked awesome. You got Tyreek Hill, Monroe St. Brown. Marquise Brown played a decent amount, so I'd stand pat.
Something that everybody, it's always kind of funny. I always find that really weird when they see, like, I mean, I guess it's the name Jordan Addison, the fact that he scored the touchdown, that, I mean, and everybody just assumes that Mostert's going to get hurt, and James Cook didn't light it up against arguably a top 3 defense in the NFL. But you see that name Jordan Addison, and all of a sudden you're ready to mortgage your running back position in order to pick up another, your third wide receiver. It doesn't matter that you start 3 wide receivers. Zay Flowers as a wide receiver 3 is fantastic when you've got Tyreek and Amon-Ra. Like, there's no reason to go and add in Addison. So, yeah, you got to be smart with your moves, peoples. Got to be smart. Mile High Luke, FFPC waivers tonight. Targets are Hunter Henry, Kareem Hunt. I'm not doing Kareem Hunt.
No.
Justice Hill, Zay Jones, Puka Nacua, Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe, that's your boy, isn't it? Isn't it, Coop?
So Smythe, man, he's just such a boring option. But here's the thing. He played like every snap. He blocked on a bunch of pass plays, but they got him some targets. The thing with Smythe is you're definitely not going to start him this week. And people are probably going to drop him when he gets vaporized by Kyle Duggar. So I just leave Smythe on the wire and pick him up down the road if you need a fill in. But he's the 3rd target on the team at best, and it's not close. So no Durham Smythe, honestly.
Yep. And just to go back to the last question, he gets Cook and Mostert. So in that case, yes. Make that trade.
Oh. Good correction there, Britt. Thank you
good
very
call,
much.
Britt. Yeah, do that trade for sure. That's a good trade for you.
Make that deal.
Yep. So, sorry, remind me, because there aren't words in front of me and ADD brain goes blah, 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 blah.
Who of the waiver group is worth it here in the FFPC, which is tight end premium? Hunter Henry, Kareem Hunt, Justice Hill, Zay Jones, Puka Nacua, Durham Smythe.
I think Henry and Zay Jones for sure.
Yeah,
those are my top 2.
Especially with Waller banged up. We're hoping that he progresses this week, but if he regresses and he's out because he was clearly not healthy last week, then you need somebody to start. So I would probably go for her, Henry or Puka.
Yeah. I like that. Bench is Kyron. Oh, okay. Yeah, we know we got that one already. We fixed it there, Sports Spotlight. We fixed it. For context on the Debo trade, 12-team PPR, my team is Burrow, Bijan, Gibbs, CD, DJ, Muth, Jacobs. Bench is London, Dotson. Yeah. I mean, again, you just don't need to give up the farm for it. Just, London and Pirine for Debo was more than enough.
Yep, I think so too.
Puka or Lockett this week in PPR? Do we even know how Tyler Lockett's doing with concussion protocol?
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything. I knew that he came back into the game, so that's a good sign. But the Seahawks are playing the Lions, and the Lions secondary looked really good, even, minus the drops. That secondary looked good. Seattle also has 2 of their offensive linemen out this week. And I think that Aiden Hutchinson is going to put so much pressure on Geno Smith that he's not going to be able to get the ball out. So I would still roll with Puka. I know that it's a little bit scary against San Francisco, but I think Seattle has another horrendous game.
All right. Coop, any thoughts on that?
I'm fully on board with Britt. Verbal retweet.
Right. Then you handle the 10-team half-point PPR. Should I trade Zay Flowers and Kyron Williams for James Cook? I lost Dobbins and only have Jones, Montgomery, and Kyron Williams.
I can't trade Zay Flowers right now after that game, man. You might have caught lightning in a bottle. Not to mention that Kyron Williams playing those pass snaps with K-Makers playing the run snaps. I think I'm just going to hang tight with Flowers and Kyron, even though I like James Cook. I think I would just start Kyron Williams. I can't trade Flowers right now unless so under that he says Olave, Waddle, Nico Collins, and Romeo Doubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think I'm just going to stick with Flowers, man.
Yeah, I'm not. That's the thing. Like, I like Olave and Waddle, but I like Dobbs too. But you need like a good 4th receiver there, and I'm just not ready to buy into Nico Collins, despite seeing 10 targets this past week.
Yep.
Maximus McLean says, should I sell Ayuk on his high? I just lost Dobbins and have a rough running back room. Only Bijan and Brian Robinson left. My wide receiver rooms is CD Lamb, Ayuk. There's a more in here. I don't know if that's Sky or DJ, but
Or Elijah.
I'm gonna assume it's DJ because he's got him between
Right.
Ayuk and Watson, and before Pickens and Addison. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna sell Ayuk out of this crew here, he's probably gonna yield the biggest return. Like, what level running back would you guys be looking for if you were gonna deal off Ayuk after a 2-touchdown game and the block of the century, by the way?
He should have gotten
that
fantasy points for that block.
That block was amazing. Yeah. So I'd be looking for some. I mean, you're not without throwing people in. You can't even get up to the level of like you're not going to get up to like the level of like Joe Mixon or Travis Etienne. So you might have to settle for. I mean, what about like Ayuk for Miles Sanders? Would you do something like that, or are we worried about Chuba?
I mean, I think you could go better than Miles Sanders. I think you can kind of beef up a little bit more there. I mean, you probably have to throw back like a second player in there if you want a really good running back. But I mean, I'm not gonna trade for Miles. I'm not gonna trade a guy who I believe is gonna be the number one wide receiver on an incredibly prolific offense.
So in that case, I would probably like. If, like Howard said, if you can throw another player in and get somebody like Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne that we feel good about being the full down back, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I also really like Aaron Jones, but that injury scares me.
After this Bengals game, you might be able to get away with Mixon straight up for Ayuk.
Yeah.
I would try something like that first.
Sure. Definitely. Can y'all rate my team? I give you a B+. Should I drop Gerald Everett for Hunter Henry?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. Puka went for 41 in my Scott Fishbowl league. I got Kyron Williams for 17, dropping Kendry Miller. Well, good job, Jack.
Good. I like that, Jack.
Jack, the Steal Your Face logo, absolutely fantastic. The Cowboys star in the middle of it, horrendous, dude. Horrendous.
I love that. The only thing better than I've seen is the deadhead with the cat in the middle.
That's 100% new for Jack too, because he definitely had a different logo just yesterday.
Yeah, he had a little tie-dye swirl going there, which was great. Just great. Now you just made it look stupid, Jack. I'm in a league with Jack. Jack and I are in the Shakedown Street Fantasy Football League, and Jack, he's so disappointing now. Reese C wants to know, should I trade Ayuk for Higgins? I have Waddle and Cooper right now as other options.
Like, would you be getting Ayuk or?
Looks like he's just straight up trying to buy low on Higgins. I'm assuming
he's giving Ayuk to get Higgins. Why would we do that?
No, Ayuk's the wide receiver one in San Francisco. I've been saying this since middle of last season. He's the dude. Hold on to him.
Hang tight.
Yeah, seriously. Hang tight. 10-team PPR. I've got Deshaun, Mixon, Stevenson, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Njoku, Keenan Allen, benches London, Laporta, Pickens, Dotson, Moser, blah, blah, blah. I just traded London for Watson.
That team's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that team's awesome, and you made a good trade. So,
yeah. Oh, who would you start? Come on, dude. You start your top guys. What do you mean? Who you just start?
You got studs, man. Although I might consider. Would you start Laporta over Njoku? Njoku blocked on 17%.
I would start Laporta over Njoku. You just have to keep in mind that you're going to be hoping the Lions keep scoring a ton of points.
Yeah,
the Seahawks, Amon-Ra too.
Seahawks last year they were the second worst team versus the tight end besides only the Cardinals, and they didn't really do too much to improve that. So I think this matchup should be pretty good for them.
Do we know if Jamal Adams is back? I see him as questionable.
That is an interesting question.
I think everything typically starts rolling out at around 4 Eastern, and that's when all the heavy like DNPs, especially on the West Coast teams, start rolling out. So haven't heard anything yet.
My concern is that Njoku, they kept him into block last week, 17%, and then now they're going up against the Steelers, and you got the pass rush with the Steelers. He might end up having to block again. Kind of stinks.
Yeah.
I'd see highest average waiver spend this week in Scott Fishbowl was Nakua at 63. That's
average. That was average.
Should I drop Juwan Johnson for Hunter Henry?
Yeah, I
Yes.
am. The nightmare situation for Juwan Johnson is that all the wide receivers look good, and Alvin Kamara is coming back. Juwan, the we were the hope for him was that Michael Thomas would be washed or Rashid Shaheed wouldn't be involved, and he could sneak in as the third target. With all those guys looking good and Olave looking awesome, it's a low upside situation. I'd rather just go for Hunter Henry and hope that it's the hen dog show every week.
Britt?
Yep.
Same?
Yep. Absolutely. I'm very high on Hunter Henry.
All right. Chris UFC's got Puka, Flowers, McLaurin, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks. If you could start 2 full point PPR, who would you start? Britt, you go first.
I'm actually going to go Puka and Flowers here. McLaurin has a tough matchup against the Broncos secondary. Mike Williams in and out. He was already banged up in week 1. And then Brandon Cooks gets the Jets, who earmuffs Howard. Without Aaron Rodgers, I think that the Dallas defense is going to destroy again, and it's going to be a very heavy run game.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks, the other thing with Brandon Cooks is he was kind of the odd man out in terms of snaps. I was hoping he would be in there for 2 wide receiver sets. Howard, you can take the earmuffs off. Mike, I might go Flowers and Mike Williams if Williams is fully healthy, but otherwise just go Flowers and Puka, man. You only live once.
Puka Flowers.
Puka Flowers.
Laporta over Freiermuth. Laporta over Pitts.
If Freiermuth is healthy, then you almost have to start him with Deontay Johnson out. But those chest injuries are so tough, man. It's not even about broken ribs. If you like tear the cartilage in there, you can't even sleep, dude. So if Freiermuth is even questionable, then go Laporta. And I mean, you can't start Kyle Pitts right now, dude. They just don't throw enough. On paper, he was exactly what we hope. A huge A-dot. I mean, the target share even was high. 3 of 18 targets is a high percentage of targets. But if they're not going to throw, then you can't start the guy. So I think it is Laporta over those guys for the time being. If Freiermuth is a full go, though, you have to start him with Deontay Johnson out.
And they have a tough matchup against Green Bay and those linebackers. It's going to be pretty rough for Pitts and London once again, I think.
London's going to run up against Jair Alexander. So,
yep.
Yikes.
Going to be gross.
If Ayuk and Higgins had the same amount of points last week, everyone would say it's a horrible trade. I think Higgins would be more consistent this year than Ayuk. Sell high, buy low. I don't know. I like it. Listen, dude, you know what? It's the beautiful thing is that it is your team. You asked, we answered. You can either choose to accept the advice and run with it, or you can do whatever it is you want to do. Like that's, listen, I had a dude who asked me, I had a friend of mine who asked me last week, would I start Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones? And I said to him, I would go with Daniel Jones. And he was like, super, into Anthony Richardson and wanted to start him. Just, he really wanted to hear my professional opinion. But then he was just going to do whatever he wanted to do. He actually ended up starting Anthony Richardson, and he was right. So Reese, go for it, dude, man. Do your thing. It's your team.
Always good to get a second opinion and then do what your heart says.
Sure. 12-team half-point PPR. Should I drop Juwan Johnson for Hunter Henry or Tyler Higbee? We said yes to dropping him for Hunter Henry. What about Tyler Higbee, guys?
Higbee, back to his old tricks, man. It should have been a smash spot for Higbee with a great matchup and no Cooper Kupp, and he blocks on 6 pass plays. And for this guy's career, he's blocked on over 30% of his pass plays. There are times where he's used as a pass catcher, and there are times where he just disappears. I can't trust Tyler Higbee, so it's Hunter Henry for me. It's hen dog. Hunter Henry played like the whole game and blocked on 1 pass play and ran virtually every route. Got to feel good about the usage for Hunter Henry. And here's the other thing. Mike Gesicki, he played 97% of his snaps at wide receiver. These guys don't even play the same position. Hunter Henry is a starting tight end for the Patriots, and Mike Gesicki is like a rotational wide receiver. So, Henry, we're good. He's in the Gronk role.
All right, one more, and then we'll go back to some other stuff, including want to talk to some stuff going on over at Underdog Fantasy that we got to get to. Interesting one in a 12-man half-point PPR, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and then 2 flex spots. I'm starting Fields, Bijan, Stevenson, Ayuk, Amon-Ra, TJ Hawkinson, but need to flex either Dalvin Cook, Romeo Doubs, Kenneth Gainwell. Well, reports are that Gainwell might not even play tomorrow. He's dealing with a rib injury, and there's a lot of speculation that Rashad Penny will be active and used in that one there. So Dalvin Cook against the Dallas Cowboys, or Romeo Doubs against Atlanta. I'm going to go Doubs here.
Easy one. Yeah. Dubs look
Absolutely.
good, man. Dubs look good, and he didn't even have he could have played more snaps. It was just a blowout. So yeah, Dubs, wheels up, baby.
All right. Well, now let me shout it out here to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. And guys, remember, if you haven't played on Underdog Fantasy before, do it. Make it happen for yourself. Go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code ALARM. You'll get 100% match deposit up to $100. And you can use that however you want. They've got, different, redraft contests. They've got pick'em contests. There's a bunch of stuff happening here. So I'm going to, for the sake of just, making sure that I get everything in, I already kind of wrote myself out a little bit of a read here. So enjoy, ladies and gentlemen, because Underdog Fantasy offers new contests and chances to win every day. Play their pick'em contest by choosing higher or lower on 2 to 5 of your favorite players' stats. The more players you pick, the more you can win. MLB, NFL, PGA covers a bunch of sports. Underdog Fantasy also offers daily drafts with leagues ranging from 2 to 12 players. And now we got another brand new way to play on Underdog Fantasy. You can make picks during the game. For all you in-game bettors out there, here you go. In-game pick'em. All you need to do is sign up, fantasyalarm.com/underdog with promo code ALARM. First-time depositors get a 100% match up to $100. Again, that's fantasyalarm.com/underdog, promo code ALARM. Plus, wait, there's more. There's more. Underdog's giving away $2 million this season, introducing their $100,000 Sundays. 100K Sundays each week. A $100,000 pot will be up for grabs for those who submit a pick'em entry with the designated player. All right, we begin this week. It starts for the first time. $10,000 going to 10 different winners. And here you go. The mystery player. Here's the entry, guys. Tua Tagovailoa. Now the question is, Tua Tagovailoa, 277.5 total yards versus the Patriots. Higher or lower?
You want to say higher, but if that hurricane or bomb cyclone or whatever happens, that weather is going to have a huge impact on this game. And I think I'm going to go lower.
If we can lock it in right now, I'm going lower because I live right down the street from that stadium. There's been thunder for 5 straight days, and they're saying that it's going to be crazy on for that game on Sunday. So I think I'm just going to go lower.
Yeah.
All right. Weather is an issue here, folks. So pay attention to it when you go to Underdog. If you want to do it now, lock in that under, and then obviously, kind of track it for the rest of the way. If you want to hold off and see if this bomb cyclone is really going to happen, you can wait. But the lean here is lower than 277.5 total yards for Tua Tagovailoa. So again, he's the featured player in their Pick'em Challenge. So when you're building your Pick'em lineups, that's what you're going to do. Do we have other I've got a couple of picks that I think that people can get away with here. I'll start off with the Jaguars. And I'll say Trevor Lawrence against the Chiefs, higher than 259.5 passing yards. And that puts me with Calvin Ridley higher than 72.5 receiving yards. So give me that Lawrence Ridley stack of higher.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. They're on fire. The chemistry that you saw between Lawrence and Ridley was just chef's kiss, and it's going to be even better in the highest supposed points of the week. So I love that. I'm going to actually go with a pick from tomorrow's game with the Vikings and Eagles. And I'm looking at Justin Jefferson. His stat line is set at 93.5 receiving yards, but I'm actually going lower here. I know that sounds really bad with the wide receiver one in the entire league, but last year against Philadelphia, he was targeted 12 times. He only had 6 receptions and only 48 yards, with Darius Slay still set to shadow him, I think it's going to be a bigger mix of TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. And I just don't think that there's a way that Jefferson gets higher than the stat line.
I like it. Those corners are tough. Do we have an update on James Bradbury?
He's still questionable as of earlier today.
It doesn't matter though, because Slay is going to follow Jefferson around. I've got one that you might like here, Britt. In fact, we'll all like it here at Fantasy Alarm because he's on the cover of the draft guide. CeeDee Lamb. And people are going to look at it and say, oh, well, he's got Sauce Gardner. But if you looked at what they did this week, they basically used CeeDee Lamb the way that the Rams use Cooper Kupp and the way the Buccaneers use Chris Godwin, where they put him in the slot. And then if they have to go too wide, they move him outside. But Lamb actually played 32 snaps in the slot, only 13 out wide. And Sauce Gardner notoriously does not go into the slot. They're willing to just have him take away whoever it is that lines up outside for that particular snap. So that's how Stephon Diggs was able to get away from Sauce. Is they, and Sauce just would take away Gabe Davis for big chunks of the game. But I think they're going to do the same thing. Put CeeDee Lamb in the slot, keep him away from Sauce, and he's his number right now is set at 70. I had it, but then I lost it. Sorry, gang. It's set at 73.5. Give me the over on that. I could see him easily having a 100-yard game if he's going to be playing the slot for this team. So give me the higher for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I tell you, it's kind of funny you bring that up. It was one of the things that I was kind of when we were talking about Brandon Cooks before, because now it's like, yeah, listen, if Sauce isn't going to shadow, whoever's playing the majority of snaps in the slot are probably going to be, kind of featured. I mean, I like DJ Reed, but I mean, he just couldn't handle Stephon Diggs. So do the Cowboys just do that early on and they just have CeeDee Lamb, out muscle DJ Reed on the regular? Is very probable thing. It's all just so painful for me. So
I can't believe it.
Higher and lower. That's the pick'em game over at Underdog Fantasy. And remember, if you put those picks in there with Tua Tagovailoa at his 277.5 total yards, which we've said the under there due to the weather, you get a chance at winning. I think it's like 10 grand, like 10 winners, 10 grand winners for doing that. So who don't like 10 grand? I don't know anybody who doesn't like 10 grand. I know my wife's dentist likes 10 grand.
Oh.
All right. But again, fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use that promo code alarm and get that match deposit up to 100%. Up to $100, 100%, $100. All right. Before we continue back with the chat, and I see that the chat is nice and active again. And again, we thank you all for doing that. Like and subscribe. Smash it, baby. Don't forget the Bettercast app, bettercast.app. Go and and download that app for free. That's where we're all going to be watching the Thursday night football game tomorrow night. So you want to hang out with us in there as well. So again, bettercast.app. Now, let's talk about some things that we need to shake off from week one, because it's a different situation here. Can't really worry so much about it, and kind of have to, you kind of need like a short memory. Was it Ted? Did you guys see Ted Lasso? Did everybody see Ted Lasso? Yeah. Be a goldfish. Be a goldfish here. Don't worry about what happened last week. Did the Giants get the snot beaten out of them by the Cowboys 40-0? Did they get embarrassed off the field? 100%. But now you got Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, maybe a hobbled Darren Waller going up against Arizona, whose defense is absolutely atrocious. So, like, to me, that's one of the things that I think people need to remember. Like, think about what the matchup was before you just dismiss a player or a team.
Yeah, I got one that I think, and this is a guy, and this is the hard part about drafting versus in season versus DFS, is that I was fading Dallas Goedert. He wasn't a guy that I was really drafting. And then this week he comes out and has 0 receptions. But you got to remember, the Patriots have, for the longest time, put an emphasis on stopping the tight end. And Kyle Duggar is just a bad matchup for the tight end. That's why Dallas Goedert went out and had 0. If you drafted Dallas Goedert to be your guy, you put him right back in there this week for this matchup. If you use him in DFS over on Underdog, if you want to look at where they're setting that stat at 44.5 yards, I'm going higher. So last week we faded him into the ground. In our DFS article, we faded him into the dirt. But this week it's a brand new day, a brand new matchup, and I now all of a sudden Dallas Goedert has a better matchup. So you can forget about the 0-point week last week. That's in the past. He's going to have better matchups, and I think this is a good one for him.
Yep, agreed. I think the passing attack from Atlanta, this is one that you shouldn't shake off this week. I think that, again, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, that Drake London is going to be shadowed, but also shattered by Jair Alexander. The linebackers for the Packers are very, very good. And Green Bay actually ranked, if I can find this here, but they were one of the worst against both rushing yards, rushing attempts, and passes to the running back. So I again expect Atlanta to incorporate both of their running backs very heavily into this game. After week 2, once some matchups kind of fall in their favor, once Desmond Ridder gets his sea legs against him, I expect us to see more passing from Atlanta, but I'm not ready to shake that off just yet going forward into week 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely understandable. I mean, I think that, it's all going to depend on whether or not Green Bay can handle the running attack for Atlanta, because Green Bay traditionally has also been a little soft against the run in recent seasons. So I think that, it's going to be very interesting to see if they do that. What did Ridder throw 18 times last week?
Like 19, I think.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
bad.
Bears play calling and passing attack. Now, I know that this is a fantasy show and I'm not supposed to, I don't need to mix in the betting, but I kind of have to mix in the betting just a little bit here, because Bears Bucks, to me, if there's an overreaction to what went down in week 1, I think that this is the prime example. And I always look at games, when I look at betting spreads, I always kind of look at things and I say to I look at the scenario. The Bears are a 3-point underdog to Tampa Bay. What were we thinking about Tampa Bay when they came into the season, right? Offensive line is trash. It's a run-first offense. Baker Mayfield sucks at football. Like, all of a sudden, but then they go and they upset Minnesota. Now, granted, Minnesota's defense. So the question is, was it that bad for the Bears that you would think that they should be an under? I know they look terrible. And I know that their defense looked terrible as well. But are we elevating Tampa Bay too much off of that win against Minnesota that the Bears should be an underdog in this game, even if it's on the road, should they be that underdog? So that, for me, what I'm eyeballing for this week is, what Luke Getsy does as far as the play calling goes. How does Justin Fields react to this? DJ Moore, what happens in there with their ground game? And I think, I'm shaking off the Bears' crap performance in week 1. And I'm going to invest in them this week here in week 2, because I don't think Tampa Bay is real at all.
I don't think that they're real at all. Minnesota's defense is horrendous, but I don't think that the Bears are real at all, to be completely honest. I think that they were the worst team in the entire league last year for a reason, and they didn't do that much to improve. Everybody's saying, yeah, they got DJ Moore, but Justin Fields does not look comfortable, does not look confident throwing that ball. Everybody knows that they're going to sell out to the run. It's going to be a mishmash of little Khalil Herbert, a rookie in Roschon Johnson, and then an old man in Donta Foreman. And I didn't see the rushing that I wanted to out of Justin Fields. So I think Tampa Bay's defense is good enough to keep the Bucs in this game. And especially being on the road, I think that the Bears are going to lose this game.
I'll tell you what, whoever does lose this game, we're going to be feeling pretty bad about them, because these feel like two bad teams.
Two horrible teams.
It's going to be really bad. And and the one thing on Fields I'll throw out there is that so people, unlike the Falcons, the Bears actually last year called a decent number of pass plays. They were calling like 30 a game, but he was only throwing the ball on 21 a game. If you look at all the quarterbacks around the league, 71% of his pass plays, he's actually throwing the ball, whereas the next lowest was Daniel Jones at 82. The vast majority of quarterbacks, if you call a pass play, they throw the football. Whereas this guy, 30% of the time when you call the play, he's either taking a sack, throwing something away or out of bounds that does not count as an attempt, or running it. So this week they had 50 dropbacks and he only threw 37 times. In a normal game, I just worry. I'm not as worried for Fields because I know he's going to run the ball and that's going to be fine. I'm worried for guys like DJ Moore. Like, I don't know how I can trust DJ Moore if he can't do anything in a game like this where they call 50 pass plays, because that's not going to happen all the time. So I'm definitely concerned for DJ Moore. But yeah, there's a very real possibility that the Bears go from being the worst team in football to being not that good.
All right. So we got a couple of minutes left here in the show. I want to be able to go back to the chat and get some of these questions asked. Draco Juiced wants to know if you should trade Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins for Saquon Barkley. He's got Tyreek, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, and Drake London, two of the four that we've been a little concerned about. And he's got D-Hop as well. Would you guys make that deal?
I mean, who's your other quarterback? Because I know that Lamar had a down game, but he should still be one of the top performing quarterbacks in this entire league. I think that that's a little bit rich for me. I would hold on to Lamar. That's another overreaction that we're seeing out of week 1 is everybody trying to bail on Lamar.
Have to know who. There's an impossible question to answer without knowing the other quarterback, right? Like, or what his plan is at quarterback. If you have like, I had a league where I took Justin Herbert and then everyone was trying to get too cute at quarterback and it got so deep. And this was actually an FFPC league where I just took Anthony Richardson too. And I said, there you go. You guys can have what, two teams were just trying to play chicken forever. And I was like, I'll just take him too. So if you have like Lamar and Anthony Richardson or somebody else you really like, then I would consider that. But if your plan is just to do the trade and then pick somebody off waivers, then it's kind of ugly. Brock Purdy is the quarterback. So, geez, smack right in the middle. I think I'm just sticking with Lamar. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Lamar's my guy. I'm not panicking on him just quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know who his running backs, Jacobs, Algier, and Edwards. So he doesn't really have anything in the land of running backs. So, I mean, who would be like, who's going to be the QB if he trades Lamar? And is that going to be a significant enough increase if his running back situation? Oh, he's got Brock Purdy, he just said. So if you got Brock Purdy and you have a chance to get Saquon Barkley, and granted you're trading Lamar Jackson, it does seem a little bit more reasonable knowing that he just doesn't have any running backs here. Like he's got one guy in Jacobs. Algier and Gus Edwards should not be starting for you at all. Does that change your thoughts here at all?
Britt,
I just still think quarterback is so scarce. I think that you're going to be able to find a guy on waivers sooner rather than later. And honestly, the Giants' offensive line didn't look that great. I know that the Cowboys' defense was really good, but kind of makes me worried about Saquon a little bit.
Yeah, the difference making upside of the mobile QB is just too valuable in a single QB league.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go. Got your answer there. Let's see. Flex Breece Hall and Zay Flowers over Khalil Herbert and Jahan Dotson. Seems viable, although I don't know. Poor Breece Hall going up against the Cowboys this week.
I would say that I would more likely put in Dotson over Hall. The Broncos did give up quite a few fantasy points to that kind of slot type receiver with Jacoby Myers, and Pat Surtain's probably going to be covering, Terry McLaurin. My brain is like looking at a million different things right now. So I think Dotson is probably going to be the guy who gets the most targets in this game. I'm very, very concerned about Breece Hall.
Yeah, Dotson and Flowers. I mean, Breece Hall looked awesome though, but it just, it's hard to predict where and when you can break off big plays like that. I thought he was going to score a 90-yard touchdown there. Maybe if he wasn't coming off the ACL, he would have. But got to be pleased for what you saw from Breece Hall in Dynasty. But for this week, it's Flowers and Dotson.
Okay. Trade Kenneth Gainwell and DeAndre Hopkins for Josh Jacobs. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, no, I like that. If it makes your starting lineup better, that's always a big question for me. Like if you weren't going to, if D-Hop was if he was like your wide receiver 3, 4, and you got just as good options, then yeah, that's a big upgrade at running back and you're just fine at wide receiver.
Agreed.
Trade Cooper Kupp for T. Higgins, Britt.
I'm honestly very concerned about Cooper Kupp. I think that he ends up missing a lot more than 4 games, especially since he's been going around the country apparently and seeing different specialists for that hamstring. I want the T. Higgins side here.
Right. And we always talk about it's like you think that the moment it's healed, then he's going to be 100%. But the longer you can't work out, the longer you can't run, the more work it takes to get back to 100%. And this wasn't a Cooper Kupp. This wasn't a recent injury. He had the injury for a couple weeks and then he re-injured it. So now it's been over a month where he hasn't been working out, right? Like the original injury was like 5-6 weeks ago. So Cooper Kupp is not going to come back and immediately be Cooper Kupp. He's got some working out to do. So I would think I would just take T. Higgins.
Yeah, I would as well. I concur on that front. Let's see. Angie's talking to me about the cost of a dentist. Yes, believe me, I know. Here we go. Last one. John Gamalielson, Johnny G. Thin at running back in his dynasty league. Picked up Algier last year. Had a first pick this year. Now he's got Bijan too. Can I start them both? P.S. My first pick in 2021 was Drake London. Well, I'm not at a point, even though I think Bijan probably, gets held back a little bit again this week. I think Arthur Smith has no reason to, push him too fast, too far, too quickly. You might be able to get away with using them both this week, but this is not something that I want to do moving forward. I don't want to be using both these guys beyond week 3 or 4 even. So that's kind of my rec.
Can I ask you guys real quick? Would you rather start Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery or start Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier?
Robinson and Algier. The scheme favors both of them a lot more.
Just the fact that they're going to run a million times. I just like the Lions to be more productive.
I'd like them to be more productive too.
No, I said I like that. Like I just think that more points are going to come out of Lions than out of the Falcons. So I might skew towards Gibbs and Monty, but it's close.
Right. Well, that's a discussion we can have on tomorrow's show because for right now we're running out of time here. So for Britt Flynn, Andrew Cooper, I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. We'll catch you next time.